Hold on one second. We're about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dark Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back, and we are getting ready to get into some news. Hopefully things will play out the way they should with this board, because I haven't used it in a while. But we got on a short bus tour just to see what would happen. And the short bus was profitable. I got the data that I needed. But let me apologize to you guys for the short buses, because you really can't get much out of a short bus episode. Now, there's quite a few people who say, well, man, I only watch a few minutes of the video. And they fall off. But that's fine. If you hit the like button, cool. If you like listening to the content while you're at work, that's cool. I'm happy either way it goes. If you watch 10 minutes, I'm happy. But what I'm going to start doing is, because so many people want it's not even an assault on the attention span, just so many people don't have the opportunity to listen to the whole video, I'm going to start jam-packing things in on the front end of the video. And so some of the things I'm going to be saying are going to be kind of explosive, but I'm going to get them to you quickly. All right. One of the last videos I did when we went to our board, we started here. We talked about America being under attack. And I pointed out that we had this Israeli embassy attack, which was terrifying. Talked about the attack at the CIA headquarters, right? And then we touched upon no more peace talks with Russia and the Ukraine. And those of you who've been watching, you know I made some predictions. The prediction here was we're at war and we're trying to figure out what the warfare is. That has revealed itself. The prediction here was that, hey, you know, there are people and forces that want to escalate the Ukrainian war, and we're seeing that. Now, let's get into what's next. Oh, my goodness, I'm about to sneeze. All right, so here's what if you pay attention, here's what's unfolding in front of us. We're going into the summer, and I said in the Summer Rage video, it was going to be very difficult for the deep state and the NGOs to effectively effectuate their summer of rage. BLM was off the table, and we noticed that BLM is off the table when we had the incident when a young man stabbed the guy in the chest in Texas, and we had the NGOs come out and give him money to try and stir up the African American community or the black community of America versus the white community of America, and it did not work. All right. So that's been tossed to the side. And barring we get we just went through the quote unquote anniversary of the death of George Floyd, like George Floyd was Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. That shit's ridiculous, but we got through that and there was nothing, right? So that's not a track they can follow, but this track that we're going to follow right now is the one where the summer of rage is going to manifest, and it is manifesting. And so what we have right now is a coalition that's been formed. This coalition is Islamicists, it's illegal aliens, it's extreme leftists, leftist terrorists, and then Democratic Party defending illegals to enable them to do things that are happening. So we have, it's kind of like the Palestinian movement is, where it's like Free Palestine movement is being used as a disguise or like a mask to cover terrorist attacks. And it's weird because what the Chinese Communist Party has done to America, and this is China, what the Chinese Communist Party has done to America is weaponize the First Amendment against the American people. Everything they're doing is weaponizing the existing laws against the American people, right? And then you see the judges come in to enforce weaponization. That brings us to Boulder, Colorado. And there's some very telling things when you get to Boulder, Colorado. New details. Illegal behind Colorado targeted terror attack facing federal hate crime charges had 14 additional Molotov cocktails. Update. Authority says Solomon, who was charged with 16 counts of attempted murder in first degree, will face the maximum federal sentence, which is life in prison. On Monday, one of Joe Biden's illegals attacked Jews in Boulder, Colorado during a walk to call attention to the hostages still being held by Hamas. The suspect, Mohammed Sarbi Salaman, who is Egyptian and in the country on an expired visa, is facing multiple charges and being held to a $10 million bail. Solomon is facing hate crime, murder, assault, and other charges following the FBI is calling it a targeted attack. All right. I'm not sure if this is going to play the audio, but let's just give it a shot. I might have to fix this because I haven't done this in a while, but let's just see. And I'll say this, and this is very important for us to understand. These are terror cells that are in the United States of America. I don't care what the media tells you. I don't care what this man says. These are terrorist cells that have been allowed into the United States of America based on having open borders. Now, the open borders were provoked by the CCP and by them blackmailing and bribing everybody, but these are terrorist cells. So essentially, the summer of rage is getting ready to be a bunch of terrorist cells getting activated. And right now, Jewish people are the target. But I want you to understand that Americans will be the target. There weren't just Jews that were marching out there to bring attention to the people who were still being held hostage.
We have some new details. Federal authorities releasing the charges for the man accused of setting 8 people on fire in that targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado. Officials say he's now being charged with a hate crime that's federally. And this is what they found. They found at least 14 unlit Molotov cocktails on his person, along with that makeshift flamethrower. The Molotovs comprised of glass wine carafe bottles or ball jars containing clear liquid and red rags hanging out of the bottles. He made these himself. In fact, it says that he researched on YouTube how to do this. And later, during an interview with the officials, the suspect stated outright, and he's talking, he stated he wanted to, quote, kill all Zionist people and wished they were all dead. He also stated that he would do it again. Emily, he also said during this interview he specifically targeted the Zionist group that had gathered in Boulder. He knew they planned to meet that day, Sunday at 1 p.m. He arrived at 12:55 and waited for them.
I love that he also said that he's been planning this attack for over a year, but he wanted to wait until his daughter graduated because he gets to make that choice. But what about the choice of the Jewish victims who don't get to make a choice when they are attacked or don't get to make a choice if they die, which, by the way, they're with an attempt to murder, then the hate crime charge brings a life imprisonment sentence, which I hope he gets. This is so foul. And he also said that he learned on YouTube how to make a Molotov cocktail. This is what is being fomented right now, that someone has the audacity, the ability, and the actionable information to Molotov cocktail and then flamethrow against peaceful Jewish citizens and gets the luxury of doing so after his daughter graduates, after he drives across the country and builds his Molotov cocktail with gas at the gas station.
Now, remember, every attack that America is experiencing is dual in nature. And I'll explain to you like this. So if we go to Harvard University, forgive me for a second, let's go to Harvard. We'll go to Breitbart. I'm going to go to Breitbart, and we're going to go to Harvard real quick. And let's look up their section about Harvard University. And let's look at the protest on Harvard, because, you know, the Harvard students are so smart. If we go to Harvard and we talk about their protests and the things that they're doing right here. Over 80 Harvard faculty donate portions of their salaries to resistance against Donald Trump. Right? So when we go to Harvard, and the protests that are going on Harvard, it's the full-on weaponization of the American prosperity and American system against American citizens. And what I mean by that is this. You can have protesters run around on campus and say, this is my First Amendment right. And if you crack down as the Donald Trump administration on their First Amendment right, it allows the further crackdown on everybody's First Amendment right. So they know the limitations of what we can and cannot do as a nation. And so because in Chinese Communist Party, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. It's very hard to combat a party that can do whatever the hell they want to do. Of course, we can foment uprisings in their nation, and they're going to go out and murder people and put them in mass graves because they have the right to do that. You see, it makes us specifically vulnerable when we're dealing with communists and Marxists, because communists and Marxists know what the structural basis of our American governmental system is and the strength of it, so they attack the strength of it. What made us strong? Our borders. They opened the borders. What makes us strong? Our Second Amendment. They attacked the Second Amendment. What makes us strong? Our free speech. So they attacked the free speech. Now, going back to what this young lady was saying here, son of a no good, low down, rotten scoundrel. I lost it. And go back to what she was saying here. Come here, girl. Where you went? Let's go back to what she was saying here.
We have some new details.
She talks about social media, right? And I'm just going to put it on the screen. So when she starts talking about social media, and she says, well, he learned how to make it on YouTube. That little detail that he put in there was specifically put in there because it's another form of an attack. I mean, you don't have to go to YouTube to learn how to make a Molotov cocktail. What is a Molotov cocktail? It's a damn bottle with gasoline in it. The thinner the glass on the bottle, the better, with a damn rag in it that's soaked. So for him to add that, well, I learned about it on YouTube. No. That's an attack on the First Amendment. And you have to understand these things. They're multi-pronged attacks. Listen to it again. And see, people keep falling for these attacks. The true issue is the man shouldn't have been here. You and I can make a Molotov cocktail out of this. It won't work because it's plastic and it won't break. But I can make it out of a plastic cup if I wanted to. If it's a brittle plastic, you can make it with a little damn glass vial. You can make it with anything, right? It's not like there was this hidden knowledge of how to make a Molotov cocktail. If I wanted to shoot fire from this Raid can, I can, right? It's not like there's some kind of hidden knowledge. Why is that minute detail put in there? Because it's an attack on America. And we miss these little minute details because people get all upset and enraged. Okay, I'm waiting on it to play. We miss these minute details of the attack. And those attacks keep coming with multi-sub-attacks involved in them. Yeah, let's go back to the chart since it's not working. Watch this. I'm going to show you another one. All right. So we get the guy in Boulder, Colorado. He does what he needs to do. All right, so now let's go to the Democrat Party. Now, if you recall, the Democratic Party has already made its bed with illegal aliens. We know why they've made their bed with illegal aliens, because they really don't have any voters anymore, right? So remember, Gilmore Abrega Garcia, right? And I told you guys back then there was a war in the Democratic Party. And make sure I didn't move this too far out of the way. Yes, you can see it. I told you back then there was a war in the Democratic Party. That war has manifested. And it's come out, and if you imagine, the way this is set up is you got to chunk down. So we keep chunking down until we get to the truth. So we get all the way down to the bottom of it. We get their war for illegal aliens, where we get the Newark mayor and Representative McIver gets indicted, right? Which is the signal that, no, we're not playing these games with you. But what flushes out of all this? When you keep going down to the bottom, what flushes out is this. Reports Democrats are tired of the party being run by Obama people. Bloom may be falling off the rose. So we get to the bottom of the true nature of the Democratic war, which is the Obama-Biden people, which is really the Obama people, right? And so when you trace it back to its source, it comes from Barack Hussein Obama. And when you chunk all the way back up, it leads you to everything else. It leads you, literally it leads you to everything else. You go through all of the details of everything that's going on because this was his additional term in office, right? So when we really focus in on what's happening here, we know it's a continuation of Barack Hussein Obama. Let's get into what's going on with the Democrats now. So, Democrat Councilwoman Incites Mob, assaults cops, obstructs the arrest of illegals who beat up pregnant daughter. Beat up her pregnant daughter. Footage captured the moment Democrat Massachusetts Councilwoman attempt to impede arrest of an illegal alien, despite the fact that the invader had beaten her pregnant daughter. See, this is just crazy.
Guys, you gotta step back.
Take her! You
Take her. No, ma'am, this is my constituent. No, you do not touch me. Do not touch me.
I need you to go over there.
I need you to not touch me.
A federal arrest.
Do not touch me.
Come on.
Come on.
Let's go. Come on.
Please don't touch me. No,
You are obstructing a federal arrest right now. Do you understand that?
Let's go.
You can be charged. We could absolutely. You step off
I
the
don't
vehicle.
understand. You, no, I'm the district councilor. I have a right to be here. No, do not touch me. Why are you touching me? No.
Don't fucking touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Stop. Guys, you gotta step away from me. Back away. You gotta back away.
Hands on me.
Counselor.
You're hurting her.
Would you stop this? Listen. Would you stop it? Listen. Back away from the car.
And I'm gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen, these ICE dudes are some pretty big dudes, and they're very disciplined. And because imagine for a moment, you have a damn Karen, and this is a city council Karen, whose daughter was just beat up, pregnant daughter was just beat up by a illegal alien, and she's saying, "Don't touch her, don't touch her." And then you literally pulling on cops, assaulting cops. I'll say this from a black community standpoint. You know good and damn well, unless you trying to get your head cracked wide open, you ain't playing them kind of games with no cops. You just know better. But what's going to happen to the Karens, if you're looking at this video, I'm sorry if you happen to be a Karen. If you look at this video and you're getting all emotional, like, yeah, they shouldn't be putting your hands on her, you're a Karen. And I need you to understand, Karens, I need y'all to understand something. The behavior is pushing it to the point where men are going to lose patience with you. All men. You already see it in the younger generations, because it's this weaponized feminism where women are going to nightclubs and they can't find men. They're in the nightclubs by themselves. They're going to speed dating and they're like, yeah, there's no men at the speed dating. And then the one or two men that are at the speed dating are recording themselves just talking reckless to the women. You have to understand this phase that we went through, which was a demonic phase where women were in rulership and over men, is coming to an end. Because in that phase, which that phase was ushered in by Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, in that phase, all hell broke loose. Illegals coming through the border. Female judges releasing illegals left and right. The same thing with the one who looks like the damn woman off of the Goonies. She looked just like the damn woman off the Goonies. I forgot the judge's name that just got arrested because she let the guy through the back door. The illegal out the back door. America's getting to the point to where America as a whole and American men are over this. And because of the chivalry that's in America, in American men, although feminism has attacked American men, because of the chivalry that's still left, that woman is not slammed on her face and grinded into the concrete. But we're going to get to a point to where those type of women are going to get treated the way they should be treated based upon their actions. And it's a very, very dangerous thing. It is another form of the weaponization. And this is another example of what I mean by the trap and snare being multifaceted. So we have the police body cam footage of an illegal alien who assaults an American citizen. That's the trap. The door was open for the illegal to get here. They've been emboldened by the behavior patterns of the judges, which means it used to be that you had someone who was illegal, they would hide in the shadows. They're no longer hiding in the shadows. She assaults this councilwoman's daughter, and then the councilwoman comes in to try and defend. And it's the second level of the attack. The first level of the attack is the person shouldn't be here in the first place. Sorry, they shouldn't. Regardless of how you feel, it's against the law. Second level of attack is the Democratic Party's logic of defending these illegals, right? The third level of the attack is the danger in slamming her on her face and arresting her, because now you have this weaponized liberal woman who's going to cry and whine. And then the fourth part of it is the actual judicial system, which will defend that behavior going back up the ladder. Our whole system has been weaponized against the American people. Same thing with the colleges and universities. Same thing with corporate America. It's the exact same thing. You see it with Target. We're going into Pride Month, right? Target is pulling back from Pride Month. Anyone find it real strange that when Target pulled back from Pride Month, it was actually a whole bunch of black pastors that went at Target in Atlanta? It's Pride Month. And it was the head of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church that boycotted Target at the beginning of Pride Month. But nobody saw that. Nobody saw it. And it was disguised as, Target did this with DEI, blah, 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 blah. So either that pastor is, hey, child, or he got the worst timing on the planet. I preferably believe he's, hey, child, how you doing, child? My name is Pastor Newbirth. And you're going to come in here and get you some of this Jesus juice, child. Yeah. But we miss these little nuances in the news. We miss them because they go over our heads. I did an interview today with Antonio. I keep on mispronouncing Antonio's name. But Antonio, we were talking about these little bitty nuances that, because the attention spans have been shortened, because people want something that's really easy to watch. You get a 20-minute video where they just cover their perspective on the news. But that 20-minute video where they cover their perspective of the news doesn't really dig in and pull out all the key pieces that you need to know to defend yourself and your family. And that's what we're missing. For example, let's extrapolate and go back out. Let's look at what's going on the good side, right? So there's a coalition being formed across government. Now let's go to the negative coalition. We got the crackhead coalition right here, right? Remember this video where Keir Starmer and Macron and I forgot whoever the other guy's name is, sitting there with the cocaine on the desk, right? This was the 11th of May, and then there was an attack on Russia, maybe the 31st of this month, right? And so we have that coalition, and then we have this other coalition that's slowly but surely forming across the world. There's Orban, who stood up to Soros. There's Trump and the Italian Prime Minister, Melania. There's Nayib Bukele. And then there's the new victory in Poland, which is, he's full-on patriotic, European patriot, anti-globalist, anti-immigration. And then we got Javier Milei. If I'm not mistaken, he's in Argentina. And so we have this coalition rising as a standard against the New World Order globalists. But you're not going to see the coalition unless you're really paying attention to what's going on. And that coalition, each and every part of this coalition is very, very important. Look how many pieces are a part of the European Union. We got Poland piece, right? We've got the Italian piece. We've got the Hungary piece. That's a nice strong block in the EU and the European Union that's joining us. Now, the problem that we have is that when we go into warfare, it'd probably be easier if we went to here. Problem that we're running into is when we get here. The second round of Russian-Ukraine peace talks break after 4 hours conversation. Man, this damn mosquito bite is bleeding. Problem that we get into when we run into the Ukraine war talks is that we have people working and being counterproductive to the peace talks. The number one counterproductive thing that happened was the 4 federal judges coming out saying that Donald Trump could not use his tariffs, which we know he can put tariffs. We know it's a part of the executive powers. But this came out prior to this meeting. And then the next thing was if I'm not mistaken, it was Lindsey Graham and that other deep state demon going over and having a conversation with Zelensky, and right after that, we get bombs dropping, drone bombs hitting Russia, deep in Russian territory. So the world is at a pivotal point where either we're going to have peace in the Ukraine, or Donald Trump is going to pull us away from NATO, completely pull us out of NATO. Because NATO is doing this because they believe that they can invoke Article 5 and bring us into war. And now we have to go into this war and support NATO as they fight Russia. I personally believe it's time for us to leave out of NATO. And if you guys want to go try and bully Russia, go ahead. And Russia going to spank the piss out you. That's what's going to happen. But we have all these pieces to this puzzle playing out. Trump is trying to get peace, while simultaneously Zelensky and Lindsey Graham and a whole bunch of other people are trying to guarantee war. Why? Because Ukraine is a place where they embezzle, smuggle, and do every wild thing that you can think of. It's the center of child trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and embezzlement. It's the heart of it in Europe. Then when you go historically back to biblical times, you look at the people that were there in the biblical times, they were some wild people back then. Don't believe me? Grab your AI, because I want people to see this for yourselves. Go into your AI and say, hey, the area known for Ukraine, where was it in the Bible? It's going to tell you. Then say, what were the name of those people associated in the Bible? Then ask, what were the gods of those people? And watch what comes up. And then you'll see the spiritual warfare that's taking place behind all of this. The reason why I give it to you as homework to do is because if you do it yourself, then you'll remember you have a phone in your hand. Every one of you guys know how to chat GTP. You can use it for free. Or you can go to Grok for free. And you can find out this information for free. Because I want you to truly be educated on what's going on. I don't want you to be like dependent on anybody else. Because that level of dependency will bring you into a very, very bad state. Next thing I want to touch on. And these are very important things that pop out when you scan the news. Rand Paul, Democrats are adrift, but Republicans face risk and conservatives veer from principle. Now, Rand Paul, I keep it real with you. For my entire time that I've seen Rand Paul and his dad, Ron, I have liked them. Until we got into the point to where Donald Trump came in office and Donald started doing things. And I noticed that him being a purist, and that's what it is, him being a purist on tariffs and everything else, you start to see that, say, bro, hold on. All these things that you talked about you wanted, they're starting to happen. And as they come, you are bitching and moaning about them, right? Senator Rand Paul, the longtime senator and conservative grassroots leader from Kentucky, told Breitbart News exclusively that he believed the Democrats are adrift. No shit, Sherlock. As a party without identity right now, but he warns Republicans could face major risks and consequences for the upcoming midterms if they, too, lose their identity. What do you mean by lose identity? Now listen, I think of the moment they are adrift and can't find their focus, and they're actually trying to focus on the one thing they have no chance in winning. That is the idea of whether criminals should be deported from our country, Paul told Breitbart. There's no chance of them winning that debate. They lost it in the election, but also one of the things I think they have largely approved of. They see gang members being deported from our country and being captured, whereas no president was willing to do this before. So I think they're going to lose on that issue. And I think that the president should emphasize not only that issue, but also the border. Paul explained 95 to 99% of the traffic across the border is gone really from the sheer force of presence of Donald Trump. Now the border has been controlled. People know not to come. They know they're going to be deported. They see the images on TV, bada bing, bada boom. I'm trying to get to the point to where he starts talking about the actual. Here it is. I think our resurgence in that period of time was an ideological one that was longstanding but came to the surface, Paul told Breitbart. The idea of limited government, constitutional government, and balanced budgets, this Tea Party movement, it wasn't sort of like, hey guys, in the after action report, let's decide what we do to get back. It really was spontaneous movement. It was unhappiness in the Republican ranks with Republican leadership. It was also unhappiness with the whole system, the bailouts of banks in 2008 and 2009, that kind of thing Democrats and Republicans came together to do. John McCain and others came forward And they were all for the bank bailouts, and the grassroots wasn't. We also had a lot of resistance. Big radio shows, Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, were all part of the organized force. This thing was a movement. Now, I'm not about to go through this whole shit with him. I'm not about to go through the whole shit with him. Here's the point. The point is this. Nothing's going to be perfect, ladies and gentlemen. Like, as we move forward, fighting a war, and you have to acknowledge that this is a battle, this is a war. As you move forward fighting this war and fighting this battle, nothing's going to be perfect. Like, for example, Rand Paul is against tariffs, but the evidence shows that tariffs work. Him and his dad are against tariffs, but the evidence shows that tariffs work. So when I see them come out about tariffs, which he's kind of calmed down on it because other people, pundits and people started going at his neck saying, hey, bro, you the one that said we didn't need such and such taxes and tariffs were good. Well, I never supported tariffs. Well, guess what? We want tariffs. So he had to shut up. The point I'm making is you hear people say left wing, right wing, same bird. And I've articulated this to you a lot, that there's multiple birds. There's the eagle, which is the MAGA party, which is the rebirth of America, which more and more people are joining that party. It just so happens to have the name MAGA. And I don't want to hear that crap about, do you know what MAGA means? It's it's magic. If MAGA, the first thing it translates into your dumbass mind is that it's magic and it's some Illuminati order, then you're just talking about where your heart is because you went and found the information that your heart brought you to, right? You haven't experienced anything, right? Then you have the right wing, left wing, same bird, which is the rhinos and the Democratic establishment. And then you just have the hardcore vulture that wants to destroy America, which is a communist Marxist who pretty much is like rides on the back of the left wing, white wing bird. So imagine a vulture sitting on the back of this other bird with his beak in his brain, just guiding it in the direction that it wants it to go. And it's a bird fight. It's a fight of the birds. And we see the fight in front of us. And we have to acknowledge the fight that's in front of us. But understand the moves that are being made and the players that are involved. The Target. Trump era. Target majorly tones down Children's Pride Month appeal. Of course they're going to tone it down. You know what I'm saying? Of course they're going to tone it down. They have no choice but to tone it down because it's been rejected by the American people. And see, there was an environment that was suppressing the American people when they spoke out about it, and this stuff was being defended. I mean, it was truly being defended. Like, you're crazy if you don't support this. And so now the pushback has landed. There's not, you notice, there's no pride flags at the White House. It's not being acknowledged at the White House. Well, when you start to acknowledge it in the highest office of the world, and you need to understand that the White House is the most powerful office in the world. When you acknowledge it at the highest house or altar, well, let's just call it altar, to God, at the highest altar in the world, then it's going to propagate all over the world. And I've said this 1,000 times. America, as a nation, when we were founded, we exported the tenets of Christianity all over the world. That was a product that we exported. Last administration, that wasn't what was being exported. This is what was being exported. Pride was being exported all over the world. And it's amazing that when you really think about it, you say it's pride. And everything falls, all this perversion, all this other crazy stuff falls under this flag that is pride. So we were exporting pride all over the world. And what does the Bible say cometh before the fall? Pride cometh before the fall. And so America was in a state of collapse. And so now that America is out of the state of collapse, the psychological operation of pride is no longer what's being launched. This is the psychological operation and the banner that everything is under. Director yells, "Free Palestine" at Canadian Screen Awards. On the same day, Boulder illegal alien test suspect screams the chant. There is your new attack. And this brings me back to my very first point that I made. This is where your summer of rage will come from. You have the LGBT community involved in this. We see stuff where they say gays for Palestine. I'm like, wow, you crazy. You have no clue. You have the extreme leftists involved in this, which is what you're seeing on campus. You have the radical Islamists involved in this, which is what you get all these people coming across the border. And this is the attack vector that we're looking at for this summer. This is the danger. This is where it's coming from. They couldn't spark up the rest of it. This is where it's coming from. And we already have confirmation because the very first attack, really, I don't even believe this was the first attack, but the very first attack was here where he said, free, free Palestine. I don't know if they still have the articles there or the footage there. But if you recall, I showed you guys the video where the gentleman went over and he picked up the rag that was on the ground, and the guy was like, free, free Palestine. The guy was like, Don Hamas. That was an attack under this new, it's really a religion. It's Palestinianism religion in America. And you saw this when it was marching down the street at the Democratic National Convention, where Obama and all these other people were there. They felt comfortable marching down the street in front of that. That's the one where they had the abortion bus out there, and we were talking about everything that was going on. And so this is the attack vector. Now, right now, it's clearly that they're targeting Jews. But you need to understand this about this movement. When you start to pull in the different targets of this movement. So we have one movement that specifically targets kids, right? We're not even going to say which one it is, but it has a lot to do with, Target having certain stuff in their school. It's funny that it was Target that was targeting kids, right? Then we have the actual Islamic portion of this movement, which is going to target Jewish people, and eventually they're going to start to target Christian people. There's a saying in Palestine, or there's a saying in that culture, which is after Saturday comes Sunday, and the Saturday is oh my goodness, why am I losing my thought? Saturday is thought of the day of rest in the Jewish community, and then Sunday is considered a day of rest in the Christian community. So after Saturday comes Sunday. So these are our two targets, right? They're two targets. After Saturday comes Sunday. They say big Satan and little Satan. So we have that group of people who come in. Then we got the extreme leftists who their target is anybody that's Christian. We just saw it because there were extreme leftists targeting a Christian event where they went out and the police had to stop them from fighting. So understand that you have this triple-headed monster that's coming at America. And this is a new creation that's targeting America. But we've been watching it come along in the process. Now, there are things that they're trying to do to bring black people to anger. For example, Mayor proposes a $105 million reparations program for descendants of Tulsa massacre victims, right? And this is for the Tulsa slave massacre where they had the city in Tulsa where the KKK went in and burned down the city. So these are the things, the reparations programs are the things that they're trying to use to get black people upset and angry. And of course, he could announce this during 6 months ago, but he waits till the summer to announce it. So as we go into the summer of rage, it's going into a dangerous time. We're going into a dangerous time where we have dangerous opponents making war against this nation. And I want you to be aware of it. I don't want you to be caught, aback by anything that's going on. I want you to be able to say, man, dang, I was watching DW and he talked about this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the long bus, and I'm going to need you to hit the like button on the long bus. We started it off. I need you to hit the like button at the end, because what we discovered is many of you guys hit the like button at the beginning, and at the end, your like is gone. Somebody's stolen your like. And I'm going to tell you like this, I don't believe in letting nobody steal nothing from me. Yeah, you ain't stealing nothing. So I need y'all to hit the button twice. You got to hit it 3 times. Check the button before you go. If you made it this far, check the damn button. Check the button, man, if you made it this far. All right, I'll be back. We back on the long bus, guys. There's going to be 30, 40-minute long videos. Either way it go. I don't really care at this point in time because it's the shorter videos are shorter and are choppy. You can hit more subjects, but I feel like I'd rather hit bigger chunks of it because it's all connected to each other. And if you don't hit the connections, it's like, what the hell are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? What the hell are we talking about? Now, when I come back, we're going to go into some kind of wild stuff. We're going to go back down the road of AI and DARPA and some of the things that are going on there. And we're going to go into Plantier. I need you to understand something. With Elon Musk going full hardcore, pretty much conservative, and Bill Gates falling back, we need to identify the next Bill Gates, right? And the Plantier CEO of Plantier is your next opponent. But you got to see what he's saying in order to understand how he's your opponent, because the warfare has moved to another dimension. And we're going to touch upon Plantier and how this is our next opponent. And really, it's the opponent of our children and probably grandchildren into the future. But we're going to take a peep into the future and see what's going on. I'll be back.